How did you find us? Okay, so let's start with the why. Why do you need to be online? Why do you need to be focusing your efforts online of all the other places to focus your efforts? So a couple of things that are really current right now. One is COVID, right? Which has thrown everything off. Happy Oregon reopening day, by the way, everyone. So as more and more people got online over this last year and a half, it really became more important than ever to have your information be accurate. Um, a lot of businesses were changing on a weekly, sometimes daily basis as far as the services offered. Do they do delivery? Do they do takeout? Have they gone to purely online? Have their hours changed? Have their services changed? So people are going online to find that information. And we all know there's so many places to update it. Your website, Google My Business, social media, all these places. So more than ever, it's really important to keep all of those places updated and current so that people know what they can expect when they do decide to make that big adventure out of the house and to your business, or even if they're looking on your online store. It's really important to have all of those things aligned. In general, even before really COVID hit, people were spending more time online. That trend is just continuing. So as people are sitting at their computer, like we're doing now, we're not meeting in person. And odds are, I just think that it's true and it's real from being on most Zoom meetings, chances are at some point, somebody on this Zoom call is going to be, checking their email or going to a social media page or doing their online shopping. So even during work time, people are exploring online. As people are re-entering the shopping markets and the travel markets, they want to make sure, again, that their efforts are worthwhile. So if people are coming from out of town to visit your business, a lot of people don't know what status is from one state to the next or one county to the next. I think that we've seen that a lot in Southern Oregon. People drive up from California and they ask, do I have to wear a mask? Is there a maximum number of people who can be with me? What are your guys' regulations here? So really being clear and communicating online so that people know what to expect when they're here is huge. E-commerce has been growing. It continues to grow, especially in light of COVID. People are shopping online. They are finding that people are going back to brick and mortar stores, which is fantastic. And they are also continuing to buy and purchase online. And then in general, people are just getting more and more comfortable with using the computer. For instance, we are all here. We all made it to Zoom today. No big hiccups. So really that's where people are focusing their attention. Okay, so we're going to go through these platforms one by one because I get a lot of people say, hey, why do I need to be on social media as a big blanket? And really, it depends on what you do, who you're trying to reach, what your goals are, and every platform serves a different function. Again, there is not a one size fits all. So, there are certainly functionalities like if I go on Instagram, I can click an option that says automatically post to Facebook. Really, it's not necessarily ideal because not every post for Instagram is going to make sense for Facebook and vice versa. So we're just going to go through the differences really quick, just to kind of like set the lay of the land. So Facebook is still king. As far as who it reaches, mostly it's going to be people who are 30 and over. It's going to be mostly a local following as opposed to your big global following that you might get on like Pinterest, for instance. It's a great place to reach out to other businesses because lots of businesses have a Facebook page and other partners. So any vendors, and then as far as what you're going to share on Facebook. So the beauty of Facebook, one of its like wonderful things that it does for businesses is it lets you post links. So you can send people to your website from Facebook. You can also share other people's posts. So if somebody does a post and says, hey, I visited, this awesome business, love them, my experience was great. You can reshare that post out to your followers. So sharing is a functionality of Facebook that's really fantastic too. Creating events. So event posts, those are really powerful on Facebook. Facebook loves to show those and to re-show those. Especially, if you post an event, it might come across somebody's feed once. And then if you have a friend that's going to that event, it'll go past their feed again. It'll go past as it gets closer. Facebook loves showing events. So anytime you have an event, even an online one or an in-person one, those are great to put on Facebook too. It's a visual platform. It didn't used to be quite as much, but now posting photos is good best practice. And it's also a good place to get engagement. So there are certain places like more like Twitter where you're kind of just sharing information out to the world, but Facebook, people are really commenting back, they're sharing news out, they're liking, they're interacting with content. Okay, why invest your time in Facebook? Facebook is king. You can reach a highly local audience, and you can have the ability to even advertise and really hone in on that local audience. If any of you have used the Facebook advertising features or the boosting features before, they're really powerful and you don't have to put much money to it. You can do $1 a day. So their advertising ability is pretty amazing if you do want to get into paid advertising. It's also a place where you can get online reviews, and reviews are certainly they can be a love-hate relationship, but overall, they are very useful. We'll go into reviews actually in a little bit. And they also allow you to be taggable. So it's a great way to stay current with what people are saying about your business online. So if they go to Facebook and you're not on Facebook, then they might write in their post, hey, I visited this business, had a great time, it was wonderful. And you'll never see it. You'll never know about it. Likewise, they might have feedback that you'll never know about. But if you're taggable, then somebody writing a post can say, hey, tag your business. I had a really wonderful visit. Thank you for everything you did. So it's a good way of just staying in tune with your online reputation, with what people are saying about you. Okay, and then there is Twitter. So Twitter used to be big, big, big. It's shrunken down. It hasn't entirely like found its way to be what it used to be. It still is used by media outlets a fair amount. And so you can reach local news stations, you can reach regional news stations by tagging them. It's a lot of people in the tech world who use Twitter because there's not as much need for a visual post on Twitter as there is informational posts. So that's kind of who is using Twitter. You use them for short messages. It used to be 140 characters. Now it's 280 characters. So even though it's doubled, it's still not that many characters. So there's a lot of shorthand to use. You can use hashtags, which is different than Facebook. You really don't use hashtags on Facebook. You can, but the functionality isn't quite there as it is on Twitter. And then you can still share links on Twitter too. So something that you can't do on Instagram, but you can do on Facebook, and you can do it on Twitter. Another thing is a lot of trends. People use hashtags to follow and focus on trends. So certainly like in the last year, there were political trends that people used hashtags for. But sometimes what people do too will, they're called tweet ups. And so maybe they'll go to an event or a conference and they will say, okay, for this conference, our hashtag is, well, here's an example, Fall Games Expo. So anything you post about the conference, at the conference, use this hashtag and we will all be able to form this essentially like a category of information together. So that's another way that people use it. So why use Twitter? You can do it if you want to reach business partners, if you want to reach media outlets, if you want to talk about big picture ideas that are maybe not necessarily so local as Facebook's focus, but bigger picture ideas. And then again, like industry events, if they have like a Twitter specific focus, then you can hop on that train too. Okay, and then Instagram. So Instagram is going to reach your people who are generally about 18 years and older. There are some teenagers who are using Instagram, but even it's starting to really fade out for teenagers too. But that'll help you reach people who are, you're going to reach people who are both local and then from outside the area because they can follow you based on hashtags too, just like Twitter. It's going to be other businesses who are also on Instagram, and just in general, a pretty massive audience. I would say that the reach on Instagram is potentially really larger than the other two. So what you're going to post on Instagram. So you have your choice of length. You can go regular, caption for a photo. Check out this new product we got in, take a photo, done, include your hashtags. Or a new trend on Instagram is really to do these long reads. And so it might be a long story about the origin of your business, or all the background info about a type of product or a program that you started and you want to name all of your partners. So Instagram is a place where you really don't have to be afraid to go long if you don't want, because Instagram does find that people read those longer posts too. So it's great for photos, it's great for videos, it's great for stories, and you can use hashtags. In fact, a quick note on hashtags, just if anyone's taking quick notes, it's not in the presentation, but hashtags are like one of those, they can be a little bit like mysterious in how best to use them. So Facebook is really no hashtags. You can use them for emphasis. If you want to do a Throwback Thursday post and do hashtag TBT, you can do that for fun and for engagement, but people aren't going to use it in the same way that they do with Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, best practice is to use like 2, maybe 3 tops. And on Instagram, the magic number is 11. So if you can reach that 11 number average of hashtags, the data shows that your post will be more reachable and more engagement worthy. So that's a little sidestep on hashtags. Okay, so why use Instagram? So if you want to reach a younger audience, for sure, a quick note here, really Instagram is under baby boomers and younger. You're going to want to use it if you have like an inherently visual product. And so if you have products or beautiful displays that you want to share, if you have a venue, if you have an eatery with food or beverage or wine, if you sell retail, I would say businesses that wouldn't necessarily need Instagram would be, like maybe tech businesses, anybody who's like kind of behind a computer and you're really just sharing office photos. So, you really don't have to be on Instagram. I like to let people know that. Everybody thinks that they need to be on Instagram because it's big and new and great, but really be intentional with how you're using these platforms. It's great to hop on any hashtag trends that are happening in your industry. So that's something you can do too. The one example that I have, just because recently I've been working with some businesses in the wine industry. And so there's a hashtag by one winemaker. It's called Underwood, and their hashtag is Pinkies Down. And so it's all about drinking wine out of a can instead of out of a wine glass. So that's an example of a hashtag trend that you can hop on because lots of people are using it. Lots of people are following it. It's a great way to get visibility. And then the last reason to be on Instagram is to be tagged by influencers. So if you do have a business where people are visiting and they're talking about it, or even possibly writing articles about it, taking pictures of it, it's good to be able to be tagged again so that your name can get out there further and you know what's being said about your business online. Okay, LinkedIn is kind of like the stepchild of the social media world. So the strategy on LinkedIn really is completely different than your strategy on any other platform. So it's going to be a professional crowd. It's going to be other businesses, which is going to change the tone of the post that you send. You're not necessarily going to say, hey, here's our special sandwich of the afternoon. It's going to be mainly articles that have to do with business. It might be engagement posts asking people what they think about certain topics. It's also a great place to post information about hiring if you want to reach a professional crowd. So if you're trying to get people to fill your management style positions, it's a good place to do that. And it's a good place to research people too. So that's pretty common, is to hop on LinkedIn and do some background research when you get resumes as well. Okay, and then we have Pinterest. So Pinterest is also a little bit of an odd duck. It depends on what you're trying to promote. Pinterest can be really great for coaches, like business coaches. It can be great for service providers like copywriters or photographers. Basically, who you're going to find on Pinterest is people who are looking for how-to articles. They're do-it-yourselfers. It's really not a local audience. It's going to be a big, massive global audience. And just the nature of Pinterest is that it's mostly women, just another note. As far as what you're going to post, really it's links back to your content. So links to your website, links to your products, links to your blog posts. You're going to send people back to like stories where they can learn more. And it's going to be things that really aren't dated either. So on Facebook, you might say, hey, we're having an event this afternoon, come join us. You wouldn't put that on Pinterest. Pinterest would be more like, hey, here's how to put together a beautiful do-it-yourself wedding bouquet. And then the why, send people to your website, use it for your lead generation. So that's where I've seen it used successfully most often, when people create a guide, some sort of lead magnet for their business. And so maybe the guide is, how to get seen online, how to grow your business to 6 figures in a month, those kinds of things. And so it will send people to your landing page where you have a lead magnet, and then they can enter your marketing funnel essentially. I would say that that's one of the most common ways to effectively use Pinterest. Oh, and then YouTube, can't forget about YouTube. So YouTube is really all ages. So it's mostly people who are looking for do-it-yourself videos or tutorials, or they want a virtual tour of where your business is or where you live. It's going to be people from all over the world. And then it's a good place to be if you want to show up in searches, for instance. And so because not a ton of local businesses are on YouTube, again, it requires research and figuring out what a good strategy is, but it may behoove you. If there's not a ton of other, say, pizza places in your town, then it might make sense to do, make a video that's all about like best pizza in Southern Oregon. And then if somebody is searching for that, you're likely to pop up at the top. So it's kind of choosing those like obscure topics to see where you land. A really good example of this is I had one client, they do like well pump services in Southern Oregon, and they did a video about troubleshooting your well pump when you're having issues. And this one little video gets hundreds of views every day because it's a really specialized topic. So this tiny little Southern Oregon business is getting massive amounts of views of their YouTube video because they found the right specific topic. So there are ways that YouTube can be really beneficial too. Okay, so here's a little breakdown of kind of like, this is very general, but the type of business and the places you need to be online. Again, really, it's more of an illustration of that it's not one size fits all, that you really need to be mindful and pick and choose where it makes the most sense to drive your efforts and where your followers are going to be. If you are a local brick and mortar shop, Facebook is excellent. You want to be on a local platform. If you're a brick and mortar shop, you probably also have some sort of visuals to share, whether it's food or retail items, something along those lines that you can take pictures of and share on Instagram. Again, it's highly visual. If you have an e-commerce store, you want to be on Facebook so that you can link, send people to your website so that they can purchase your products. And then you can also add your products to a Facebook store, or you can run ads for Instagram shopping too. So those are 2 good places to be. And also Pinterest. Again, Pinterest is evergreen content. And so if you have a product that isn't going to expire, you can be on Pinterest, create a page around, a certain category of what you sell. And that can be a place to gather people to. If you're a service provider, this one is a little bit like up in the air. Again, it really depends on what you do. So if you are if you're a health coach, for instance, Facebook can be great for that local audience. LinkedIn, maybe. I mean, really, you're going to be talking to a professional audience on LinkedIn. So I would say like it would take some thinking about. Instagram, you can post photos of health related products all day long. And Pinterest, you might have some really good topics to send people to your website too, like if you write blog posts about nutrition coaching. If you're a service provider who does massage instead, again, Facebook will help you reach local. LinkedIn, probably not so much. Instagram, you can come up with visuals to be on Instagram. Pinterest, probably not, because you're not really teaching people to do things with massage. The one instance where I think you would want to be on LinkedIn with a service provider, I would say a couple of instances might be if you are providing services for other professionals or other businesses. So you may want to reach other business owners. You may want to, if you're a business coach, reach entrepreneurs. If you do any sort of copywriting or graphic design, professional services, those are all great to go to LinkedIn. Nonprofit is another place that can be really good for LinkedIn to reach out to other partners, other organizations. Facebook and Instagram can be great options too. And then as far as manufacturing goes, Facebook, if you want a local presence, and again, Facebook is king. Facebook is on all of these. Twitter can be a good one too if you're trying to reach other businesses from outside the area. And LinkedIn can be another good one for that as well. And another little bit of a side note on LinkedIn, it's also a great place if you are going to spend any advertising dollars, you can get really granular on LinkedIn. You know, again, you can choose your budget, what you want it to be. It doesn't have to be massive. And you can tag specific job titles. You can tag specific companies and industries. So there's a lot of opportunities to reach people on LinkedIn for those businesses who are B2B. Really quick, I'm going to look in the chat because I see that there's some comments and I didn't address any of them. Okay, so does Facebook advertising stay local? It depends. So you can choose your audience on Facebook. So if you want, you can geolocate and you can say that you want to be, you know, 10 miles around Medford. You can say you just want to be in the town of Medford, or you can choose several cities. You can choose the entire United States. So really that's up to you. Oh, and Kim answered that, fantastic. Okay, is there a preferred format to use for hashtags? I would say that, again, it depends on the platform. So on Twitter, using them within the post is acceptable. Again, you don't want to go above 2 or 3 because then it's just like a wall of blue. So putting them in the post is fine, just not too many of them. And then really with Instagram, you can put them all down below. You can put them, like, bury them down in the post, because really it's a way of driving people to your post. It doesn't have to be the focus of the post. So as long as they're in there somewhere, that's beneficial. There is a practice that some people do. Some people put their Instagram post live, they publish it, and then they come back in and they comment with the hashtags just because they don't want to clutter up their post with the hashtags. Or maybe they used an automation tool where it shared it from Facebook immediately and it didn't come with a hashtag. That's fine. But a thing to remember is when you do that, it doesn't bump it up in the feed when you wrote the comment. It puts it where the post was published. Let's see if I can like reword that in a better way. So say you posted something at 12 p.m. and you came in and you added the hashtags at 5 p.m. Well, if somebody is searching for a certain hashtag, your post is going to show up like down the road in that 12 p.m. area. It's not going to bump it back up to the top to be like a most recent post with a hashtag. So anyway, if you're looking for recency, like if you're using a really popular hashtag, like shop local, then you want to be up at the top. Adding it in the comments isn't going to bump you back up to the top, if that makes sense. Okay, where are some of the places we could find the best hashtags to use? Honestly, it is Instagram and it's in the app. So you can, you can do a Google search if you want that just says, best hashtags to use for, and do your industry. And there are tons of articles to give you ideas. You can also just go into Instagram and start typing in hashtags and it will tell you how many times they're used. I'm going to do another side step. The formula that I generally use for hashtags on Instagram specifically is the rule of thirds. So I usually do, if I'm going to do those 11, that ideal 11 number of hashtags, a third of them are going to be big popular hashtags. So that's like the shop local, opt outside. If I have a product, it's that product type. Anything that's going to have a ton of followers. So about a third of them is that. Another third is proprietary. So those are your hashtags that you can make up, because you can make up whatever hashtag you want. So you don't have to do anything special. If you type in hashtag Rachel is presenting for So Ready right now, is a hashtag. So you can use your own proprietary ones that are either your business name or your event name, anything like that. And so that's like the second third. And then the last third is kind of like the in between. So maybe it's a little bit more specific, like you're talking about your region or your category. Like say you sell skincare products, then you can say like organic skincare, plant-based skincare, instead of just big general skincare, right? Because like Amazon is using the hashtag like skincare. So if you get a little bit more specific, then that's kind of like the last third to include. So big general topics, specific proprietary topics, and then in the middle as far as the types. Let's see, can you explain hashtag numbers suggestions, what we mean by numbers? Oh, as far as just the number of hashtags, Greg, you'll have to tell me if I answered that in the last one or not.
Yeah, I think so. So what you're saying is for us to have, our organization to have 11 hashtags related to them.
Within a post, like for each individual post, it would be, 11 hashtags for that post. So they don't all have to be related to you, and they can be different with each post. So you might do, a post that's related to a certain event, and that has 11 hashtags. And then you'll do a post about maybe a business partner, and there's different hashtags there. But each time you post, using that 11 number is generally best practice, is what Instagram tells us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna, oh, and really quick, I see Michelle, what are the best times to post to Facebook and Instagram? It depends. So there's all sorts of articles again online that will tell you, post at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays and 10 a.m. on Thursdays. And those are like the general times when people are engaging, but it depends on your audience. So if you are a B2B business and you are talking to people who are working in their office Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, those are the times you should be posting. Especially if you even kind of like consider their mind space, like on Mondays, are they at their desk working frantically to catch up after the weekend? That's probably not when they're going to engage with your post as much as if you wait until Thursday, Friday, when things are maybe winding down at the office. So that's something to consider. And then on the other side too, if you're a tourist destination, say you do wine tours, then really you're going to want to be posting on the weekend when people are thinking about having fun, going out, having wine, they have time at home to come book a wine tour, those kinds of things. So I would say that there's really not a great one size fits all answer for that one either. It depends on who you're trying to reach. Okay, so a note on Google My Business. So the last slide before I got off on my tangent was everybody needs to have, and it's Google My Business. To be found online, Google likes it when you use their tools, when you play their games, right? And so just like Facebook is king of the social media world, Google is king of the search world. And so if you want to be found when people are searching for your business or your products or businesses like yours online, really, you need to be on Google My Business. There are maybe some exceptions. I'm trying to think of ones I've run into over the years. Like I have one client right now who really is purely an internet-based business. They are an online directory service. It could be arguable if they really need to be on Google My Business, but they're kind of like the extreme use case scenario. Otherwise, everyone else really should be. Really quick, I am going to stop my screen share just because I want to see people again. And can I get a show of hands, either in your video or with the hand raising function, how many people have a Google My Business page that they know of? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then how many people use their Google My Business page regularly, once a week? Yeah. Okay. So really, that's what Google wants you to do. They want you to get on and update your page about once a week. They can track, because it's Google, they can track how often you even log into the page. So even just logging into Google My Business once a week, even if you don't make changes, that simple action is going to make a difference for Google. A big reason for that, it was like that before, but really now, over the last year and a half with COVID, when so many businesses closed down, either permanently or temporarily, or changed or went on pause, Google wants to know that you're still active, you're still in business, that you're still keeping track of your hours, that you're updating things regularly, and that you're current. Google is in the business of giving people current information. People aren't going to go to Google if they type in restaurants near me and Google gives them all of these restaurants that are closed. People are going to be like, oh, well, that doesn't do what I need it to do. I'm going to go somewhere else. So Google is in the business of getting people current results. So this is the best way that you can help them is with your Google My Business page. So let's see, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And oh my gosh, I'm going to move so much faster because I can see that we're already like close to our time. These are the things that you can do with your Google My Business page. So there's actually a whole lot of ways that you can interact with it. So you can respond to reviews, you can add posts, you can add photos, you can respond to people's questions. People will reach out and ask on Google My Business, are dogs allowed? Are you open on weekends? Updating your page information. If you change from a takeout only service to a delivery service, vice versa during COVID, that's what you would add there too. You have the option of adding a username to Google My Business. Right now, it's not used a whole lot, except for just your Google review link. But just in case Google decides to be a social media platform again, it's a good thing to claim that username so that you have it. You can, depending on what kind of business type you are, Google will let you put in specifically your services so that if somebody is searching for photographer, you can put that word in for your services and you're more likely to be found. You can put in products, you can put in attributes. Attributes would be, they're things that really Google gives you as options to choose from, but that might be that you're a woman-owned business or a Black-owned business, or you have wheelchair accessibility. So you can add those things to your post too. You can update your hours, you can link to your website, and you can access insights too, which are also really, really helpful. Just another place where you can gather information about how people are getting to your page and how they're working with it. Okay, and then other places that you can be as well, this all depends on your business type. So these are other options for areas where you can be online so that people can find you. Restaurants and service businesses, Yelp, Bing Places for Business. That's a lot like Google My Business. In fact, it can pull your information from Google My Business. So when you go to create one, it can say, do you want me to pull, do you want us to pull from Google My Business? And it's a really seamless integration. That's another really easy place to put your business online. Local directories. So that might be a chamber directory, like a local version of a Yellow Pages. If you sell products, Google Merchant Center is a really great one to be on too, because you can post your online products to show up in Google results. Any industry sites, if you're belonging to any associations, TripAdvisor, also a good one for like travel-based businesses. Okay, and then these are two, sorry, I'm just gonna like run through this last part and then we'll have questions. So tools for tracking all of this information online. So there are tools out there that will help you do it faster so that you don't have to spend, all day, every day, checking in to see what people are saying on your Facebook page, your Google My Business page, so on and so forth. So the number one thing that I think every business should do is set up a Google alert for your business name, because Google is really good about letting you know when people are talking about you online. So Google Alerts, that's an easy one. There are other tools out there. Bright Local is one that I've worked with before and that I just listed here. And really you can load all of your review sites in and then you'll get a ping whenever anybody gives you a review. It's the same with single platform. You'll get an email and so they will say, hey, you just received a review, so that you can really quickly go on and respond. And then you can also research your name with hashtags too. So if you go into Instagram and do hashtag in your business name, you can see what people are saying about your business on Instagram. And then here's also just a list of social media scheduling tools, because I fully believe in them for saving your time online too. So basically this list is tools that you can use to make sure that you're keeping your information up to date online, posting and engaging, but not spending all of your time just monitoring all these various platforms. And then lastly, these are just some general best practices. And I'm going to check with Kim and see if we can just send everybody this presentation so that you guys don't have to like take notes like crazy or anything. But this is just like general notes. So yes, you should be monitoring your presence online and know what people are saying about you. So make sure you're checking out your review sites, make sure you're keeping an eye on your Google alerts, and know that you're being, when you're being mentioned in articles or in reviews, respond to those reviews quickly, even the positive ones. And I say, especially the positive ones. I'm a big fan of promoting positive review behavior online and not just rewarding the negative review behavior online. So even if it's a thank you, I mean, getting specific is great, but even a thank you is better than nothing. Having your responses ready is another thing that you can do. I recommend having like a list of some of the top things that people review about your business and have some ready to go responses. Sometimes reviews can be really challenging to respond to when they like hit a tough spot and it's hard to get over that emotional hurdle. And so if you have some responses ready to go that you can kind of just like cater really quick to what the review is about, I have found that that's really helpful too. Update your information regularly as you change it. Have a checklist of everywhere you need to do it online. So if your hours change, have your checklist that says, okay, I need to do it on my website's homepage, on the contact page, on Google My Business, on Facebook. Make sure that you're updating them all together. Make sure that you're adding content that you want to see out in the world. Otherwise, other people will do it. I see it all the time with Google My Business. People post photos of the business and the business owner hasn't posted any. And a lot of times people aren't going to post the photos that you would necessarily want to post. So make sure that you're putting content out there too. And then lastly, always feel free to repurpose content. So if somebody writes an article about you, share it. If they write a review about you on Facebook or Yelp, that's really wonderful and glowing, copy and paste it on your website. It's a great way of not having to constantly like reinvent the wheel and just come up with more and more content. So repurposing your content online is a great practice too. Okay, and then let's see, in the chat, I'll just move really, really quick. Does it help raise your Google searches if other websites link to yours? The answer is yes. There's kind of a complicated formula. So basically, if they have a really strong website and they link to yours, that counts as more points than if it's a brand new website and links to yours. So there's some other factors at play too, but for the most part, yes, Google likes it when other websites link to your website, because basically that's a vote in your favor. And it's other websites saying, yes, this website has valuable content. In fact, I believe in it so much, I'm going to link to it. Okay, and approximately how much time should we spend online advertising? So it depends on your business and it depends on obviously your budget too. I would say, yeah, that's really a case-by-case basis. If you want to, basically what you want to do is collect enough information that it can guide your decision-making in the future. You're not going to have a huge pool of people to get information from if your budget is really small. So if it's just like $10, you're not going to collect a whole lot of information. But if really all you're trying to do is reach people in the 2 days leading up to your event in Medford, Oregon only, then yes, by all means, put $5 to $10 towards it. If you're trying to run a larger campaign for your services or your business, then that's when I would bump it up into the 50, hundreds, several hundreds of dollars. So it depends on what kind of marketing campaign you're trying to do.
Rachel,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you personally at your agency do, and how people who maybe are getting started could get help, either by hiring somebody or by just searching a little bit more on their own?
Yeah, well, let's see. So when somebody starts out, the very first thing that, you know, every business I would say needs to do is set yourself up with your Google My Business page, which Google makes it pretty darn easy to do. You just go to business.google.com, fill out all the information. They will send you a snail mail postcard and you can get your Google My Business page up and running. So I would even say that's number one, and then get a website going. And the website can be super simple also. There's website builders like GoDaddy, where you can register your domain. So, you know, mybusiness.com, and then they have a website builder built in. If you really don't need a thrills website where you're selling products or anything like that. If you are just in fact, I have one client who just did this and she's a massage therapist. So she just needs a one pager with her basic information, her prices, and her contact information. So she has a one-page website that was free. So there are definitely ways, if you want to go about it at a lower cost way. And then set up that Facebook page. Absolutely. There's, certainly I would say help it. Kim, you can maybe speak to this too, like the Small Business Development Center. They're a great resource for people who are starting out as well. And my mom is she's a marketing professor, and she asked me recently, hey, what textbook would you recommend for social media? And we were on the phone, so I didn't laugh to her face, but I did say there is no textbook because things are changing constantly. There is no way that a textbook wouldn't immediately go out of date as soon as it's printed. There are times when I tell people, you can find this in this area on Facebook, and then I'm wrong the very next week because Facebook has done an update or they've updated one area, not the other. So just know going into it, if you feel confused navigating it, it could just be because these platforms are constantly updating. So really a good thing to do, again, Google is king. If you ever feel confused, Google is also your friend. Like look for the most recent articles online. So look for anything that's dated 2021, and you'll find a lot of information there too.